What secrets lie within the quantum realm that ancient Buddhist masters understood millennia before our particle accelerators ever fired? As our planet crosses critical tipping points, atmospheric CO2 levels reaching 424 parts per million, biodiversity declining at rates 1,000 times faster than natural extinction cycles, and magnetic field strength weakening by 9% since 1840, could the intersection of quantum entanglement and Buddhist emptiness hold the key to both consciousness evolution and planetary survival? Tonight we venture into territories where cutting-edge physics meets ancient wisdom, where the survival matrix indicates that understanding non-local connections might be humanity's most crucial adaptation as we face accelerating entropy on a planetary scale. The quantum mirror of emptiness. When Buddhist monks speak of sunyata, emptiness, they describe a reality where no phenomenon possesses independent, inherent existence for every particle. Every thought, every breath arises through interdependent conditions, lacking the solid separate nature our survival-focused minds perceive. But here's where the survival probability calculations become startling. Quantum entanglement reveals the exact same fundamental truth about our physical universe. Consider this. When two particles become entangled, measuring one instantly determines the state of its partner, regardless of the distance between them, even if separated by billions of light years. 18. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. But what if this quantum mystery is actually demonstrating what Buddhist sages understood about the interconnected nature of all existence? The mathematical expression of quantum entanglement, where composite systems cannot be described as products of their individual parts, mirrors perfectly the Buddhist teaching that phenomena lack independent existence. 1. In quantum mechanics, we find the equation 12 divides 0a circled times divides 1b minus divides 1a circled times divides 0b backslash frac 1 backslash sqrt 2 backslash left 0 backslash wrangle underscore a backslash o times 1 backslash wrangle underscore b dash 1 backslash wrangle underscore a backslash o times 0 backslash wrangle underscore b backslash right. 21 divides 0a circled times divides 1b minus divides 1a circled times divides 0b, representing a state where individual particles have no definite properties until measured. 1. Buddhism teaches the same principle. No self, no phenomenon exists independently of the web of conditions that gives rise to it. But why does this matter for planetary survival? Because as thermodynamic equilibrium shifts globally, understanding our fundamental interconnectedness becomes crucial for collective survival responses. The observer effect and the illusion of separation. Ancient Buddhist texts describe how the mind constructs the very reality we experience, teaching that subject and observer cannot be separated too. Quantum physics has arrived at an eerily similar conclusion through the observer effect. The quantum system's behavior changes depending on whether and how it's being observed. 1. When Alice measures her entangled particle, she cannot control which outcome occurs. Yet that random result instantly determines what Bob will find when he measures his particle. 1. This demonstrates what Buddhist philosophy calls the participatory nature of reality. We are not separate observers of an independent universe, but co-creators of the reality we experience. Here's where the entropy acceleration becomes critical. If consciousness and reality are participatory rather than separate, then the mass consciousness of 8 billion humans directly influences planetary systems. Ancient sages understood thermodynamic principles, what we now call the observer effect, as fundamental to reality's fabric. Could magnetic field disruption connect to spiritual awakening? As our planet's protective magnetic shield weakens, cosmic radiation increases, potentially altering human consciousness patterns. The survival matrix indicates that understanding observer-participated reality becomes essential as environmental changes accelerate. Instantaneous connection beyond space-time. The most mystifying aspect of quantum entanglement challenges are basic assumptions about space and time. When entangled particles interact, the change occurs instantaneously, with no signal traveling between them. This phenomenon transcends the speed of light limitation, suggesting that, at the quantum level, space and time function differently than our everyday experience suggests. Buddhism teaches similar transcendence of conventional space-time through the understanding of interdependence. In Buddhist cosmology, all phenomena arise simultaneously within the web of dependent origination. Past, present, and future existing as interdependent moments rather than linear progression. What appears as sequential cause and effect in conventional reality reveals itself as simultaneous co-arising in ultimate reality. As climate tipping points accelerate, this understanding becomes survival relevant. If consciousness operates through non-local connections similar to quantum entanglement, then collective awareness shifts could influence planetary systems instantaneously. The ancient practices that cultivate awareness of interdependence might actually activate quantum-level healing responses in Earth systems. How might quantum consciousness accelerate planetary healing? Through understanding that our awareness exists in entangled relationship with the planet's energetic systems. Much like Buddhist teachings on the interconnectedness of all sentient beings with their environment. The collapse of solid reality in quantum mechanics. Particles exist in superposition, multiple states simultaneously, until measurement causes wave function collapse into a single observed state 1. This mathematical description of reality matches Buddhist teachings about conventional versus ultimate truth. What appears solid and fixed, conventional truth, dissolves under deeper investigation into fluid, interdependent processes, ultimate truth. 4. The Buddhist doctrine of impermanence teaches that all phenomena constantly change. Lacking fixed essence, quantum physics reveals that even the most fundamental particles exist as probability waves until observation crystallizes them into apparent solidity. Both perspectives dissolve the illusion of permanent, independent existence, but what happens when consciousness shifts during ecological collapse? As mass extinction coefficients reach critical levels, human consciousness faces evolutionary pressure to expand beyond the illusion of separation. The survival matrix indicates that those who understand reality's quantum-like nature, its interdependent, non-solid essence, will better navigate the fluid challenges ahead. Could ancient practices reverse entropy? Buddhist meditation techniques that cultivate awareness of emptiness and interdependence might activate quantum field effects, potentially influencing planetary healing through consciousness-matter interaction. The entanglement of mind and matter. Some quantum physics interpretations suggest consciousness plays a role in wave function collapse, though this remains speculative too. However, Buddhism has always taught that mind and matter arise together through interdependent conditions, with neither being primary. The mind shapes experience, while experience shapes mind, an endless dance of mutual influence. This perspective becomes crucial as biodiversity collapse accelerates. If consciousness and environment exist in entangled relationship, then the destruction of ecosystems directly impacts human awareness, while shifts in consciousness directly influence environmental healing. Ancient shamanic traditions understood this mind-matter entanglement as fundamental to planetary harmony. The extinction probability calculations show that species survival depends on adaptive consciousness evolution. Those communities that understand their quantum-like entanglement with planetary systems demonstrate higher resilience during environmental chaos. How do parallel dimensions influence Earth's ecological collapse? Buddhist cosmology describes multiple reality layers existing simultaneously: gross physical, subtle energetic, and causal consciousness realms. Quantum field theory suggests similar parallel possibilities existing in superposition. Understanding these dimensional layers might reveal intervention points for planetary healing. The non-local nature of compassion. Buddhist teachings emphasize that genuine compassion naturally arises from understanding interdependence, recognizing that self and other are conventional designations rather than ultimate realities too. When the illusion of separation dissolves, caring for others becomes as natural as caring for oneself, because the boundary between self and other is revealed as conceptual construction. Quantum entanglement demonstrates this same non-local connection at the physical level. Entangled particles remain connected regardless of distance, their states intimately correlated despite spatial separation. 8. Could consciousness operate through similar non-local connections, making compassion not just ethical choice but recognition of quantum-level reality? As atmospheric CO2 reaches dangerous levels, survival depends on transcending the illusion of separate nations, separate species, separate ecosystems. The thermodynamic equilibrium of planetary systems requires recognizing our quantum-like entanglement with all life. Ancient Buddhist practices of cultivating universal compassion might actually train consciousness to access the non-local connections necessary for species survival. What happens when consciousness recognizes its entangled nature with planetary systems? The survival matrix indicates accelerated healing responses. As individual awakening influences collective consciousness through quantum field effects. The middle way and quantum complementarity. Buddhism teaches the middle way, transcending extreme views by recognizing the complementary nature of apparent opposites. Phenomena are neither inherently existent nor completely non-existent, but dependently originated similarly. Quantum mechanics reveals complementarity. Light behaves as both wave and particle depending on experimental setup, with neither description complete a lone one. This complementarity becomes essential for navigating ecological collapse. Planetary healing requires balancing urgent practical action with deep understanding of interdependence. Immediate technological solutions with long-term consciousness evolution. The middle way provides a framework for holding these apparent opposites in dynamic balance. Could this quantum phenomenon save our planet? By understanding how consciousness operates through principles similar to quantum complementarity, we might access solution spaces that transcend either-or thinking. Climate change requires both rapid emissions reduction and fundamental worldview transformation. Approaches that seem contradictory but reveal complementary necessity. Ancient sages understood thermodynamic principles through contemplative practice, recognizing that sustainable systems require dynamic balance rather than fixed states. Modern quantum physics confirms this wisdom through uncertainty principles and wave-particle duality. The measurement problem and mindfulness. Quantum mechanics faces the measurement problem. How does superposition collapse into definite states? And what role does observation play? One Buddhism addresses a parallel question through mindfulness practice. How does the stream of consciousness crystallize into perceived experience? And how does awareness influence what arises? Buddhist mindfulness cultivates awareness of awareness itself, recognizing how attention shapes experience. Practitioners learn to observe mental phenomena without collapsing them into solid self-story, maintaining spacious awareness that allows experience to flow without grasping. This training parallels quantum mechanical descriptions of maintaining superposition until measurement occurs. As environmental chaos accelerates, mindfulness becomes a survival skill. Those trained to observe experience without immediately collapsing it into fixed interpretations maintain greater cognitive flexibility during unprecedented challenges. The survival matrix indicates that mindfulness-trained communities demonstrate superior adaptation rates during systemic breakdown. How might quantum consciousness accelerate planetary healing? Through practicing awareness that maintains systemic perspective rather than collapsing complex ecological relationships into oversimplified cause-effect narratives. The emptiness of the observer in quantum entanglement experiments. Alice and Bob serve as observers whose measurements reveal the correlated nature of their particles. But Buddhism asks, who is the observer? Investigation reveals that the sense of a solid, separate observer is itself a construction arising from the interplay of awareness, sensation, perception, mental formations, and consciousness too. Just as quantum mechanics reveals that particles have no inherent properties independent of measurement context, Buddhist practice reveals that the self has no inherent existence independent of the conditions that give rise to the sense of selfhood. The observer and the observed arise together through interdependent conditions. This understanding becomes crucial as mass extinction coefficients reach critical thresholds. Planetary healing requires transcending the separate self-perspective that drives destructive consumption patterns. When the illusion of independent selfhood dissolves, caring for planetary systems becomes as natural as breathing. What secrets lie within consciousness that could reverse ecological collapse? Ancient meditation practices that reveal the emptiness of the observer might activate quantum field effects, influencing planetary healing through the recognition that consciousness and environment are entangled phenomena rather than separate entities. The bootstrap universe quantum field theory suggests that particles are not fundamental building blocks, but rather stable patterns arising from the dynamic interaction of field 6. No particle exists independently. Each arises through its relationships with all others. This bootstrap model of reality mirrors Buddhist dependent origination, where phenomena arise through the interdependent web of conditions rather than from inherent existence. The universe bootstraps itself into existence through quantum fluctuations, with no need for external foundation. Similarly, Buddhist cosmology describes reality as groundless, arising through interdependent conditions without requiring inherent foundation. Both perspectives challenge the need for ultimate substances or independent creators. As thermodynamic equilibrium shifts globally, understanding bootstrap principles becomes essential for planetary survival. Sustainable systems must bootstrap themselves through reciprocal relationships rather than depending on external resource extraction. Ancient sages understood these principles, designing cultures that regenerated rather than depleted their environments. Could magnetic field disruption connect to spiritual awakening? As planetary magnetic patterns shift, human consciousness might naturally align with bootstrap principles, recognizing our role as conscious participants in Earth's self-organizing systems rather than separate exploiters of resources. The Quantum Sangha Buddhism emphasizes Sangha, spiritual community, as essential for awakening because individual liberation and collective liberation are inseparable too. Just as entangled particles share correlated states regardless of distance, practitioners in authentic spiritual community share correlated consciousness states that support mutual awakening. Quantum entanglement suggests that once particles interact, they remain connected through non-local correlations that persist regardless of spatial separation. Could human consciousness operate through similar principles? When individuals gather with sincere intention for planetary healing, do their awareness states become entangled in ways that amplify collective influence? The survival matrix indicates that communities practicing quantum sangha principles, recognizing their non-local consciousness connections, demonstrate superior survival rates during civilizational breakdown. As atmospheric conditions deteriorate, these entangled consciousness communities become essential for maintaining human awareness stability. How might quantum consciousness accelerate planetary healing? Through intentional cultivation of consciousness entanglement among those committed to planetary restoration, creating non-local healing influences that transcend geographical limitations. You have witnessed how quantum entanglement and Buddhist emptiness point toward the same fundamental truth. Reality is relational, interdependent and participatory rather than solid, separate and independent as our planet crosses critical survival thresholds. Biodiversity collapse accelerating, climate systems destabilizing, magnetic field weakening. This understanding becomes essential for our continued existence. The ancient sages who understood thermodynamic principles through contemplative practice left us quantum physics-validated technologies of consciousness that can activate planetary healing. When we recognize our entangled nature with all life systems, individual awakening becomes planetary awakening. When we practice awareness of emptiness, we align with the quantum field nature of reality itself. But time grows short, the extinction probability calculations demand immediate action. Every moment of recognition that consciousness and environment exist in quantum-like entanglement sends healing influences throughout the planetary system. Every meditation that dissolves the illusion of separation activates non-local connections essential for species survival. The survival matrix indicates that those who understand quantum consciousness principles will form the seed communities for humanity's evolutionary leap. As ecological collapse accelerates, these quantum shamans, bridging ancient wisdom and cutting-edge physics, become essential for maintaining the consciousness coherence necessary for planetary healing. What happens next depends on you. Will you recognize your quantum entanglement with planetary systems? Will you activate the consciousness technologies that could reverse ecological collapse? The universe awaits your measurement, your choice, your quantum leap into awakened participation with Earth's healing. The time for separation illusions has ended. The quantum sangha of planetary healing begins now.